All right. Hello, Amazing Corner crew. We're here with some midday information for you guys. Please send this video to all of your friends and family so they can save it and go back later and learn more. You guys know we are doing the Potential to Stack Though Challenge. We are on day 17, and I asked my dear friend Janell Foster Esq to join us today. So hi, Janell.
Hi.
We're going to be talking about end-of-life planning. So we're all talking about stacking dough. But in the Black community, in our brown community, inner city, sometimes the life planning can be faux pas. It can be seen as something that's scary. People just don't want to talk about it. And people, unfortunately, some people say, when I die, I'm not going to be here to worry about the bills, or I'm not going to have to be here to worry about the funeral costs, so I'm not going to worry about it. But we're not doing that. We are leaving a legacy for our family and financial freedom for our children's children. So Janell is the expert in this area. So I asked her to come in and give you guys some information that I am not the expert on. So if you could give a formal introduction of yourself.
Hi, my name is Janell Foster. I'm an attorney. I own a law firm in Pennsylvania. It's actually in Media, Pennsylvania. It's called the Law Office of Janell S. Foster. And I specialize in elder care as well as wills and estate planning, among some other things. But being as well, that's what we're talking about today. That's what we're going to focus on.
All right. So if you have questions, type them in the link. If you're watching later and you're not watching live, send them to my DM. I will forward them to Janell or contact her later, and she will give you her contact information at the end of this live. So this is definitely a live that you want to save, bookmark, and then follow the steps later.
Yes.
All right. So get into it. Tell me why you think people hate talking about end-of-life planning.
Well, I think just thinking about death is a very hard thing for people to think about. Everybody today is focused on living, right? We want to talk about how to make our lives better, how to make more money, how to plan, and things that are going on right now. And when we think about dying, that's not a topic that everybody feels very comfortable about. And then many people think, I don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that all the time. I don't have anything. So why do I need to get a will or plan? And what they don't realize is that it's more than just even about your things, and it's more than about when you die. So estate planning is also about planning for your end of life, for those years where you could have Alzheimer's or dementia or not be able to stay in your home. And again, none of us like to think about that. We think that we're going to be able to, just rock it out until we die, right? But unfortunately, that's not always the case. And even if you don't even have Alzheimer's and dementia, you could have physical ailments, right? So you still may need some help.
Yeah, so that's what actually what I was thinking about when you're talking. So excuse me for cutting you off. I thought about chronic health issues.
Mm-hmm.
So some things like sickle cell, or some things like lupus, or things like that. Irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease might render you incapable of making life decisions or working anymore. So it is a good thing to make it while you're healthy, while you're strong, while you have sound mind, because you just never know when those things are going to happen, and you want to make sure that you have your planning in place and your family is equipped.
Absolutely.
To manage you and your health as well as your finances, or if they have to take that on, have the access to do it without stress and increased grief, right?
Yep. And you want to be able to choose who you want. That is so important, because once you're incapacitated or you're in those spaces, the choice is kind of taken away from you if you haven't made those choices. So you may know that, Aunt Martha, she's not the person that I would choose. And I don't have an Aunt Martha. I'm just making up a name. So, Aunt Martha isn't the person that you would want to choose to, do any of these different things for you. Instead, you would choose your cousin Marcy.
Right.
So you would want to point those things out so that you can be sure that your finances are taken care of. Your health is taken care of by the person that you want to designate. So, it's being able to make choices now for when you may not be able to make them later.
That's good. So thinking about my personal circumstances, we recently just did advanced directive living wills. And one of the questions the lawyer asked me was I sure I wanted to leave this particular person as my executor or as my beneficiary and not my son? And I had to confirm that I initially, intentionally did not leave my son as the 100% beneficiary, because his dad and I have set him up pretty good. to have his own. And he has stuff coming from so many different places. I felt like he didn't need 100% of what I'm leaving behind, and I wanted to leave that for this other special person. So it is so and I brought that up to say if people was going to automatically assume that little Che would get everything, should Big Che and I'd be here, and that wasn't my wish. So that was a good example of that, right?
And he would have legally, because he would be your only heir. So had you not done that, if you don't have anything in place, they just go and give everything to, it's like a lineage that they follow. It starts with your kids, and then this next, and then that next. So I'm glad that you thought about these things and made some plans.
Yeah.
Too many times.
He better act right. We putting this boy, we setting him up, so he better be good. Or I'm coming back after him. All right. So give us maybe a short list, and guys, write this list down, of what documents you should have in place.
Okay. So definitely, number one, you should have your last testament, which is what we call your will. So your will is where you designate all of your property. You talk about, you can even put in there funeral arrangements, burial arrangements. You know, some people have religious things like I want a Christian burial or I want a Muslim burial. And that comes up if you're in a family where everybody else is a different religion than you.
Right.
So if you're Muslim, but you're surrounded by Christians and you know you want a Muslim funeral, then you know you want to put that in your will. That's that I want that. And this is how I want it done.
And I'm sure that happens often.
It does. And then, you know, do you want to be cremated? All of those things you can put into your will. Then next we have a living will. So that's the part that I was talking about, where you're making decisions not for when you pass, but for while you're alive. So the living will, you make decisions. Okay, if, for example, I get into a car accident and I'm incapacitated, I'm unconscious, I can't make any decisions. This is what I would want. I do want cardiac resuscitation. I do want water. I do want an IV. I do want a feeding tube. But you know what? I don't like the respirator. I don't want that. So if I need that, then just go ahead and let me pass, because I don't feel comfortable with getting that and I don't want that. So you're making but if you get into the car accident and you're unconscious, right? You can't tell anybody what you want, and nobody wakes up today thinking, hey, I'm going to be unconscious later on. So, you know, I suggest everybody have a living will so you can make those type of decisions. And it's not even just for accidents. It could be for later in life. Like I said, you're 90 years old, you have dementia, but you've decided now what things you want in place. And, you know, if you want to be resuscitated, if you don't, and just all of that. So that's the living will. Next, we have a durable power of attorney. And that's for your finances. So that's when you choose somebody if you were incapacitated, right? Even if you're young, because many people just think about, oh, I'll deal with that when I'm old. But again, my car accident, you get into a car accident, you're unconscious for 30 days, let's say. Who's paying your bills in that time? Who's making all of your finances still run? Who's making sure that, you know, the bank and all of those different things. So if you do that with your durable power of attorney, you set inside of that specifications like, if I am ever incapacitated and I can't make all my financial decisions, I designate my cousin so-and-so to do it. And then she can take that if this happens and take it to the bank and be able to pay your bills and, you know, do all those type of things. And then we have the healthcare power of attorney. And it works sort of like how the financial one does, but it is for health. So this is where you are able to have a person set, because you can make some decisions, right? You know, we can list out, but we don't list out any medical scenario that can happen. Right. So you'll designate somebody to say, hey, I'm listing out what I would like, but if there's other decisions to be made, please refer to this person. And so you can think about who that is. And a lot of times it may not be the same person. Your financial durable power of attorney could be somebody you like, look, this person is good with finances. I know that they're going to pay my bills, keep my stuff going. But if they got to make a health decision, they're going to be in the corner crying, looking for help.
I was going to bring up that example because I got so many people that's going to have me on the ventilator forever, and I don't want that. So
exactly. So your financial power of attorney may not be the same person as your healthcare, because you could say, you know what, my cousin is a nurse. She's good. I know she understands, you know, different medical terms, and she's going to be able to put aside, you know, the burden of just thinking about me being in a bad situation and make the right choices for me. So these are all the things, and why it's so important, because the wrong people take over when these things happen. So I can think of
take over.
Yeah, I can think of. Unfortunately, I'm sure we can all think of several family members that we would be like, "Oh, please, I don't want them making any. They've destroyed their finances. Please don't give them access to mine." Or I know that cousin. She cries the whole so. We know these things personally, so that's why it's just good to point it out ahead of time. So again, the 4 documents are: you'll want your regular will, which is your testament to your items and all that, and then you'll want your living will. You'll want a durable financial power of attorney, and then you'll want a healthcare power of attorney.
Awesome. Did you share this on Facebook?
I will.
So Katrina, thank you for watching. Please share this video so we can get more information, get this information to more people. Thank you so much. She said great points, Janell.
Thank you.
All right, so while Janell is pulling that up, let's go back to the potential to stack dough challenge. Stacking dough is not just about making money. It's about investing. It's about end of life planning. It's about securing your finances. And that's why I thought Janell would be.
Is it not under your regular?
No, it's under the amazing corner.
Okay.
So that's why I thought Janell would be great, because again, she is a lawyer. My friend is a lawyer, and she knows all about it. And not only can she give you the information, she can be a resource for you. So go to the law offices of janellfoster.com, and she connects. I was going to say, put on mute. And she can answer any of your questions, and you can find out if you guys can connect. So what contact information should they leave? For what list of contact information should they need? Like, what people should we have on our list of contact this person, contact that person? Should I not be available, or should I meet my demise?
So you mean as far
as... So say I pass away,
mm-hmm.
What information should I have? Like who to contact, or who to...
Okay, so if so, you should definitely have everybody should have a list of all of their bills, all of your account numbers, your bills, what you pay on the monthly, because then you leave your loved ones to try to figure it out, right? So they should know credit cards that you have, if you have everything listed out. You don't have to keep running balances, because really the balances aren't important. You should have a list of your life insurance policy, so someone isn't trying to figure out, oh, well, does she have life insurance? Doesn't she? So I suggest that everybody keep these documents in their safe. Mm-hmm. So every single person should have a fireproof safe in their house. That's and it should house all of your important documents. It should have your birth certificate, your passports, your life insurance policies, the deed to your house, all of these things. But then you should have a folder where you list all of your financial institutions. Like, where do you bank? Okay, I bank with Citizens. I bank with this. I have this account there, that account there, just so that your family can just come grab that folder. Everything is in there. It has your will. It has all of your directives, everything in it, along with all your account information. And then you can put a contact page. If something happens to me, please contact these people.
Yeah, and I would think a good reminder, just like we remember to set our clocks and stuff and change the batteries on our smoke alarms at daylight saving times. For me, every year when I renew my health benefits at work, I print out all that stuff and I put it in an envelope and I put it in my husband's drawer. But I also share with my cousin, who is one of my beneficiaries, and my sisters, because I don't want the drama. Even though I'm not going to be here, let's cut the stuff. We all know what we want. And we have to become more comfortable talking about end-of-life planning, so the emotions and the stress don't take place, and there's not an internal fight. Because, so anyway.
And one of the main things that I tell everybody is that although you're not going to be here with your will, you don't want your family members fighting. It's tough enough when you lose a family member, and then you have people, because emotions are high, right? We're mad you're gone. So, we're in a grieving place. So out of a grieving place, would you like your family members now fighting over these decisions? People always say you have one wedding ring, you have 3 daughters. So each daughter will be like, yes, mom said that belonged, that if anything happened to her, she said that was going to me. Mm-hmm. Now, all 3 daughters say that. You have one. What ends up happening, right? So it's just so much easier if you designate, hey, I want my ring to go to my oldest, but my second one, I want her to get this special thing of value. My third, I want her to get this thing. And then when you pass, it's nothing for your kids to argue about, because you've already designated what was what. So it's nothing for them to clash about at the end. We want families to be able, in a grief-stricken moment, to come together, to work together, we're going to need each other. Everybody needs each other. But when there's no will, no direction, it's fighting, it's arguing, it's drama, it's foolishness, it's everybody wanting to say what you said.
And I was gonna say, you have to be the courageous one too in the family. So that's what I challenge you guys to do as part of this potential to stack dough challenge. Before the month is out, schedule a dinner meeting, schedule a Zoom meeting with your family and say, I'm not sick, I'm not dying, but I want to talk about end of life planning so we know what each of us want and just a few particulars. Don't make it long or drawn out, don't make it overly emotional, but maybe pick 5 topics, talk about it amongst each other so everyone has that respect and things in mind. So Janell, why is having a lawyer important? And I know a lot of times people think about when they hear the name lawyer, you think money. So is it expensive? So tell us why is it important to have a lawyer within the life planning, and is it expensive?
So it's important to have an attorney because there are a lot of different laws that surround wills and estate planning. And so if you're just sitting down making your will yourself, which is completely legal, you can sit down and make your own will and sign it, and you can validate it yourself, but you haven't considered laws. You haven't considered what in this will can be unvalidated. What can make a will unvalidated. These all are the things that you won't know just making your own will. So you may have several different things that you want to do, but it may be illegal.
I was going to ask that. Do you have an example of one of those things where I might make a decision, but the law supersedes that decision?
Absolutely. So a lot of people want to designate somebody for their children to go to. And so although you can say what your wishes are, what people don't understand is that's one factor that the court considers when they decide where your child is going to go. So it's not the only factor. So you can say, I want my child, if anything happens to me, I want that child to be raised by Aunt Mary. But you don't consider, you're thinking about that today. 3 years from now, Aunt Mary can be on drugs. And she may not be the best choice anymore. So although you put that in your will, that's what you want, guess what? The court's not going to give that child to Aunt Mary because she's a drug addict. She's not fit anymore. She still has to pass, the best interest factors to be the best person to raise that child. So I tell people to think about a couple different guardians, have some alternates where somebody that may not, have an attorney or talk to an attorney may not have thought of that. They'll just say Aunt Mary, that's it. And they'll put Aunt Mary down, but not think about Aunt Mary can be incapacitated at that time. What if she had a stroke, or what if something else has happened to her? Something could have happened to y'all together. So who's the alternate? Who's the second alternate? Who's the third alternate? So it's just a lot of things that people don't think about because they think that I can just leave my child.
And it's the old way of doing things, how our parents did, but we know more, we have more exposure, and then the laws and things have evolved. So, we have a question, but Katrina, it is cut off on my computer, my little logo thing. I can't see it all. It does say, do these documents, I'm going to say vary with the state, maybe? It's cut off, I'm sorry. And then it says, and it also says, is notarized
Can you see
sufficient?
It on your phone, maybe?
No, because that's not on there. That's why I'm trying to look on yours. Yeah, the banner is cutting it off.
Maybe it's somebody else.
I'm sorry. Different. Put it like a question mark in it, Katrina, so it could bounce down to the next level. I got just little. Sometimes fancy stuff ain't fancy. My little banner on my computer is blocking your question. There it is. Thank you. Do these documents get filed with the state, or is just notarizing sufficient? Thank you.
So they do not get filed with the state. Your will does not get filed with the state until you actually pass. And the reason for that is we have people that change their wills every 10 minutes. Like they're mad at their nephew tomorrow. They come in and be like, you know what? Get that joker off of my will. And then a week later, they're back friends. Put them back on. People change their wills so often. That will be a lot for the, register of wills to try to keep up with. So they don't even want to see your will until you have passed. And then you go through probate, and then your will is bought at that time. Whatever your last will was is brought down to the register of wills at that time.
So before that, who's it with? The lawyer?
So your lawyer has it, and you have it, and you should have a copy of it with at least 2 other family members.
Okay. And then she's asking, is it sufficient to have it notarized for it to be valid?
So you don't actually have to have it notarized to be valid, although I like to notarize it because it just helps with, you know, the authenticity of people not later being able to come back and say, oh, that person didn't sign it. So it's not required to be notarized, but I have all my wills notarized just as an extra backup, so that nobody can contest it later to say that she didn't really sign it. Well, nope, we signed it in front of a notary who verified her license, her ID, took 2 forms, wrote it down, and all of that. So you can't say that this wasn't her last will.
And I did have my advance directive done at Janell's law office with the notary, and it was very inexpensive. I think the notary fee is generally about what's the range there?
So the notary charge about $20, $25 to notarize it.
Awesome. All right, so get it. You're welcome, Katrina. Let me know if we didn't answer your question completely or accurately. So share some of the low-cost services or that you provide in your law firm for end-of-life planning.
So I do a one-stop all. So I do all your estate planning at one time. So I do your will, your power of attorney, your healthcare power of attorney, and your living will. I do them all for $400. It's a flat fee if it's a simple will. Now, if you have some complex matter, it can go up from there, depending on how much research I have to put into the law surrounding whatever your complex issue is. But usually, most people don't have anything too complex. So it's usually $400 for all of the estate planning. And we plan and talk about everything, go over everything, and I answer all your questions. And when you walk away, you have a complete set of estate planning documents. Okay.
Does it cost just to like call you and ask questions and see if they're ready to make these steps?
So when you call my office to make the appointment, we send you out a will checklist just for you to take a look at, just to see what documents you need to get together. So you don't even pay until you actually come, like you look through everything, you thought about everything on my checklist, you gather all of the documents. Once you've done that, you call back to make your appointment and you pay at that time. So I really don't talk to people about it like ahead of time, really. I send you my checklist and you gather everything. And then we just sit down and go through it when you're really ready.
Awesome. So we want you guys to prioritize end-of-life planning. Make that everybody getting their income tax back. Everybody is getting extra income from the government for different various reasons, PPP loans, whatever. Use that as a priority expense. It's $400. You only have to do it once unless you want to make changes.
Well, yeah, you only have to do it once, but people do have to update it because things change, life circumstances change. You said leave Aunt Mary everything, and then 10 years from now, she's gone, so you have to make other decisions. I always have a couple alternates put in for everything anyway, so in case that happens, you still don't have to come back to me. I try to make it so you don't. So for every single thing, I make you put 2 alternates at least.
Okay, and I was going to actually bring it up because, it's a good friend will challenge you. So I was telling Janell, I had this in place, I had that in place. But the experts will help you remember the things that you don't have. So she's like, okay, well, who's your beneficiary? And then what happens if they're not there? And what happens if they're not there? And what happens when they're not there? So I'm like, oh, I didn't go that far. So where I thought I had everything in place, there's a few more steps that I still need to take. And I just, I had a very enriched conversation with her, and I wanted to bring it to you guys during the potential to stack those challenges. Again, if you have any questions, please send them to me in a DM or to the law offices of Janell Foster. Can you tell them where you practice and where they can contact you?
So my office is across the street from Media Courthouse, so it's very convenient. I'm located at 334 West Front Street in Media, Pennsylvania. My telephone number to the office is 610-273-5380. You can always just call my office. If you want to look at the will checklist just to start thinking about things, we'll email that out to you. My email address is Janell, which is Janell. There's no E on the end of Janell, guys. I know we like to put it, but it's not there.
Obviously, she's seen that before.
I see it all the time. People are like, oh, I emailed you. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Okay. But anyhow, so it's Janell at JanellFosterOffice.com.
Awesome. So we talked about end-of-life planning, but again, she's a lawyer. So what all services, list all the services they can contact you for.
Okay, so I also, criminal, family, and elder law are the main modalities that I deal with. So custody, divorce, child support, PFAs, and then with criminal, I take misdemeanors and minor felonies, depending on what it is, criminal defense.
Okay. So again, I encourage you to save this video, bookmark it, and also follow Janell. That way, if you feel like you're not ready now or you feel like you don't need her now, you have it for when you do need it or when your family or friend needs it. We do have several people on the live on a few different platforms. So if you have any questions, we can hang on a second. If you guys have any specific end-of-life planning questions or questions for a lawyer, if anybody wants to type anything in the chat, we'll give you a few seconds.
Yep. Any questions, I can answer them concerning your estate planning. And I know it can be, I think a lot of people find it challenging to even start thinking about, right? I think it's just when you start thinking about end of life, like nobody wants to think about end of life. So to get yourself in the mindset is really, sometimes can be the hardest part to jump over that hurdle. But I tell people to always think of it like, even more than just your end of life. What happens if something happens to you very soon? It's not just end of life planning. Like, we hope that everything, stays a certain way
for unexpected health issues or tragedies or things like that. And I think we definitely need to normalize the conversation. And the more we talk about it, the less uncomfortable it will be. I know specifically in my family, when I bring it up, sometimes people want to stop the conversation. They want to redirect it. And I'm like, why is this uncomfortable? You got to kind of push them a little bit, with love. To have the conversations that make it more comfortable. So we thank you guys for watching. I don't see any more questions. You want to have anything that I didn't bring up that you want to share?
No, host, you did a great job with the questions.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Please share this video to your loved ones, the people who you want to make sure have their stuff in place and that they are protected in life and in death, and that their loved ones are protected. Or especially if you think you're somebody beneficiary, make sure they got that paperwork together.
I know, that's right.
All right, see you guys later. Have a good day. Be amazing. What?